Here's a list of materials you will be needing for this project. I will be using 0.85mm thick tie wax cord for this project, but you can use any type of cord you wish. If possible, use a cord with similar thickness if you are using an 18mm jump ring. Thinner or thicker cord will change the number of knots that fit onto this size jump ring. Also, cord that is too thick will limit you in terms of size of beads you can use, as their hole diameters will be too small to fit. You can use different sizes of jump rings if you don't have the right size cord. You will have to gauge the ratio between knot and ring, but the knots can be compressed a little if the fit is tight. Just remember that if your cord is too thick, any beads smaller than 6/0 will not fit. A great cord alternative that worked for this pattern is Tex 400 Ceylon cord. You will have to replace any double-strung 8/0 seed beads with 6/0 seed beads, as the Tex 400 is a little too thick to fit through a bead twice. On the next page, I have explained in more detail and have lined up a few cord alternatives and links to suppliers. Here are a few examples of the same earring pattern made with different sized cords. The first is Chinese waxed cotton cord. It has a similar diameter to other cords, but because it is quite compact, it does not compress much, and I was only able to fit 3 base sections. The second is Tex 400 Ceylon cord. This worked great for this pattern, but you will have to use 6/0 seed beads instead of 8/0 seed beads, where 2 cords have to be threaded through simultaneously. The same goes for the cord I have used for the third earring. This is Linhasita, a widely used macrame cord from Peru, which is roughly the same thickness as Ceylon cord. The last earring was made with the thinner 0.85mm tie wax cord that I have used for this class project. As you can see, it is a little smaller than its counterparts. This is an example of how different cord sizes and types can be used for the same project. Below, I have added sources for the various cord types. If you prefer to leave all the bead counting, cord measuring, and material sourcing to me, you can purchase a DIY kit in my Etsy shop. For this project, you will need some sort of work surface that will allow you to hold down your work. Don't worry if you don't have access to a proper macrame board. An ordinary clipboard will work just as well. I like to use baking foam. It works really well for me because it allows me to stick my needles in to hold down my work. If you don't have access to either, even a pillow will do in the beginning. You will need some pins to hold down your work, a needle to thread on the focal bead, and I like to use a needle as well to help me undo bad knots. You will need a pair of scissors to cut your cord, and again I like to have 2 pairs, a bigger one to cut my cord in the beginning and a smaller one to cut off hard to reach ends once the project is complete. You will need a long nose pair of pliers for the findings. Sometimes, but not always, you will need a wire bending pair of pliers, a measuring tape to measure your cord. If you're using wax cord, you will need a lighter to melt off the ends, and if you're using cord that does not have any wax content, you will need some sort of glue. I like to use hypo cement. To help you keep track of the cords while we work, I like to number them from left to right. We are using 12 cords to work with in the base section, starting with cord number 1 on the left and ending with cord number 12 on the right. If you look at picture 2, you can see as the cords get knotted, their positions change. For instance, what was cord number 1 will be cord number 2 once the knot is complete. The positions never change, only the cords will switch positions as they are knotted. I will begin by showing you what types of knots you will be using for this project. On this page, I have compiled a short list of terms and abbreviations that I like to use during my tutorials to make them easier to follow. I will be abbreviating the name of the knots in the instructions, and you can use this page for reference. To mount your cords, you will be using a reverse lark's head knot. Take one of your cords and fold it in half. Feed the end with a loop through the jump ring from the bottom up. Fold the loop over and feed the two loose ends through that loop. Pull everything tight. If you turn the jump ring over, you can see what the knot looks like from the front. You will notice a small section of cord running over the two loose ends. For this pattern, we are going to use the reverse of the knot. You will need to mount 6 cords to start knotting the base. The main knots you're going to be using in this tutorial are left or right double half hitches. These are also knots which are used in many other macrame projects. To tie a left double half hitch, which is tied from left to right, you will have to attach your working cord, which is the cord you are knotting with, to your holding cord, which is the cord you are knotting to. To do this, feed your working cord underneath your holding cord, then loop it over and feed the tail end of your working cord through the small loop on the left. Once you have done this, pull everything tight. To complete the knot, loop your working cord once more over your holding cord and again feed the tail end through the small loop on the left and finally pull tight. This is a complete left double half hitch. To tie a right double half hitch, the procedure is exactly the same as with a left double half hitch. The only difference here is that the tail end of your working cord will feed through a small loop on the right instead of a small loop on the left. Once you have created the loop and pulled your cord tight, repeat the procedure and remember that your tail end this time will also feed out onto the right. This is an overhand knot, which is used often in daily life to tie your shoelaces or perhaps gift wrap a present. We will be using this knot to secure our focal bead onto the earring. In this section, I will show you how to start building the base for the earrings. With our 6 cords doubled up and attached, we now have 12 cords to work with. Remember, the cords are numbered from 1 to 12, and I will be using the numbers to indicate which cords I will be knotting. Take cord number 2 and attach it to cord number 1 with a left double half hitch. I call it a left double half hitch because the working cord, the one that I'm knotting with, will point towards the left, and your holding cord, the one that I'm knotting to, towards the right. A right double half hitch is the same knot, only a mirror image. Add an 8/0 bead to cords 3 and 4. Now attach cord 3 to cord 2 with a left double half hitch. Note how I'm holding the holding cord with my right and knotting the working cord with my left. This is a left double half hitch. Now take cord 5 and attach it to cord 6 with a right double half hitch. Note how I'm holding the holding cord with my left and tying the working cord with my right. This is a right double half hitch. Now attach cord 4 to cord 5 with another right double half hitch. And to complete the first pyramid, knot cord 4 to cord 3 with a left double half hitch. We are going to do the same with the remaining 6 cords, but the steps will be mirrored. Take cord 12 and attach cord 11 with a right double half hitch. Add another seed bead of the same color as the first one to cords 9 and 10. Now attach cord 7 to cord 8 with a left double half hitch. Take cord 9 and attach it to cord 8 with a left double half hitch. Attach cord 10 to cord 11 with a right double half hitch. And finally attach cord 9 to cord 10 with a right double half hitch. To begin, mount 6 cords onto your jump ring. This will give you 12 cords to work with. Attach cord 2 to cord 1 using a left double half hitch. Add an 8/0 seed bead to cords 3 and 4. Attach cord 3 to cord 2 using a left double half hitch. Attach cord 6 to cord 5 using a right double half hitch. Attach cord 4 to cord 3 using a left double half hitch. Now repeat the steps we have done so far to create a mirror image of the pyramid we have just completed. Attach a 6/0 seed bead to cords 6 and 7. Now take cord 5 and attach it to cord 4 with a left double half hitch. Now repeat this step with cord 6 and attach it to cord 5 with a left double half hitch. Now we're going to move over to the other side. Take cord 9 and attach cord 8 to it with a right double half hitch. Pins can be useful to help you hold down your work. Now take cord 7 and attach it to cord 8 with a right double half hitch. And finally, take cord 6 and attach it to cord 7 with another right double half hitch. We are going to set aside cords 1 and 12 as we don't need them at the moment. Take cord number 2 and attach cords 3 to 6 to it with left double half hitches. This will add an extra row of double half hitches. You could add even more if you like, but for this pattern I prefer to use just one extra row. It's very important to work as neatly as possible because any uneven knots will affect the look of your final result. So try and tie the knots as tightly as possible without pulling too hard. Now we're moving over to the other side. Take cord 11 and attach cords 10 to 7 to it with right double half hitches. Once you have completed these steps, repeat the steps we have done so far with the remaining 18 cords, creating 4 identical base sections. Be careful not to pull too hard when knotting the cords that cover the split in the jump ring, as your cord could get damaged by the sharp edges if it slips out. Once you have completed both pyramids, add a 6/0 seed bead to cords 6 and 7. Then attach cord 5 to cord 4 with a left double half hitch. Take cord 6 and attach it to cord 5 with another left double half hitch. Attach cord 8 to cord 9 using a right double half hitch. Attach cord 6 to cord 7 using another right double half hitch. Remember to set aside cord 1 and cord 12. Then take cord 2 and attach cords 3 to 6 to it using left double half hitches. Once you have completed a row of double half hitches on the left, move on to the right. Take cord 11 and attach cords 10 to 7 to it using right double half hitches. And finally attach cord 6 to cord 7 with another right double half hitch. In this part I will show you how to complete the filler section. We have 12 cords again, but we are going to set aside the first 3 and the last 3. The first thing we are going to do is add a 6/0 seed bead to cords 6 and 7. Take cord 5 and attach cord 6 to it with a left double half hitch. Now take cord 8 and attach cord 7 to it with a right double half hitch. Remember to work as neatly as possible. Tighten up a little if necessary and tie cord 6 to cord 7 with a right double half hitch. Now because the further out you move, the more cord you will actually require, so instead of adding an extra cord, we are going to add a seed bead. Take cord number 4 and attach an 8/0 seed bead to it, and then attach cords 5 to 6 with left double half hitches. Now repeat the same procedure and add an 8/0 seed bead of the same color to cord number 9 and attach cords 8 and 7 to it with right double half hitches. And finally attach cord 6 to cord 7. And this is your filler section complete. That was easy, wasn't it? Now you can repeat these steps with the 3 remaining gaps to complete your pattern. Slide on a 6/0 seed bead to cords 6 and 7. Attach cord 6 to cord 5 with a left double half hitch. Move on to the other side and attach cord 7 to cord 8 with a right double half hitch. To join those 2 rows, attach cord 6 to cord 7 with a right double half hitch. Add an 8/0 seed bead to cords 4 and to cords 9. Attach cord 5 to cords 4 with a left double half hitch and do the same with cord 6 to cord 5. Take cord 9, the one with the seed bead, and attach cord 8 and 7 to it using a right double half hitch. Once complete, attach cord 6 to cord 7 with another right double half hitch. In this part I will show you how to add the focal bead. To add the focal bead, thread the remaining 10 cm cord onto a needle. Choose a section of the earring which you would like to be the top. This is where your earring wires will go as well. Thread the needle underneath the 6/0 seed bead from the front and pull the cord through. Wrap the one end of the cord around the jump ring as closely to it as possible and bring the 2 ends together at the front. Slide on a 6/0 seed bead, then one of the 6 mm teardrop beads. Tie an overhand knot as closely as possible to the teardrop bead and pull tight. This will ensure a snug fit. In this part I will show you how to finish off the ends of your project. Before you are able to add your earring wires, you will need to finish your work and trim off the excess cord. If you have used wax cord, no need to use glue. If you have used cord that does not have a wax content, you will need to use some sort of glue to keep the ends from unraveling. Again, as I said, I like to use hypo cement, which works really well. If you are using glue, let it sit for 10 minutes until the ends have dried. Then gently trim off the excess cord. If you are using wax cord, I recommend that you heat your piece briefly in an oven to melt the excess wax, and this will also give your work a really nice sheen. In this part I will show you how to add the earring wires to your earrings. To attach your earring wires, I find it useful to use a needle first to bore a small pilot hole in between 2 rows of double half hitches. I find it useful because often the blunt ends of the jump ring can cause damage to your thread. Next, you will take your earring wire and loop it onto the jump ring. You may have to adjust the angle of the small loop of the earring wire, as it can cause your earring to look lopsided if it is not in the correct position. Thank you for taking my Aura Earrings class. We have learned how to mount our cords using a reverse Larks head knot and how to tie a left or right double half hitch. I have demonstrated how to finish off your work and finally attach your earring wires. The skills you have learned in this class can be used to create a multitude of different patterns, and I hope you will explore and create many more beautiful pieces of your own design. Here's a variation of the Aura earring pattern. I have used the same knots and pattern, but have only tied 2 base sections and 1 filler section to give the earrings a whole different look. I have also used Tex 400 Ceylon cord instead of wax cord for this project. You will have to use 6/0 seed beads for this type of cord, as the diameter of this cord is just too thick to feed 2 cords at a time through an